We're here today in my 2024 Ioniq 6 SE rear-wheel drive, and some of you might be saying, Corbin, wasn't your lease ending in April for your Ioniq 6? And yes, it was up in April. And in today's video, we're just going to talk about where things stand with the Ioniq 6, why you guys haven't seen the 2-year review on it, and what I'm going to be doing next. So let's talk about my Ioniq 6. So some backstory on this car for those of you who are new. I leased this car in April of 2024. It was the cheapest Hyundai EV lease you could get at the time. This was advertised as $230 per month for 12,000 miles per year for 2 years. I pay, after all taxes and fees, $320 per month, which is really cheap compared to my 2025 Ioniq 5. That is $560 per month. Obviously, that's a limited trim. This is a base SE version. But yeah, I've had the car for a little over 2 years now. A few months ago, when we were getting towards the end of the lease, April, I think it was mid-April or so, I started thinking about what we were going to do next. And I didn't realize this at the time, but Hyundai allows you to extend your lease up to 6 months past the contract date. And this actually worked out perfectly in my head because we are currently living in the greater Boston area, just north of the city. But we're going to be leaving here most likely in the next 4 or 5 months. The lease on our apartment ends on October 1st. And depending on where my fiance gets a job, we're either going to be moving back to Connecticut or possibly Providence, or just outside of Providence. But we don't really know where we're going to be living. So we have that big change coming up. And my first thought is, well, I don't really want to get rid of this and have to register a new car in Massachusetts if we're going to be leaving and then get plates transferred and it re-registered somewhere. So the logical part of my brain is going, just extend the lease. This way it's as uncomplicated as possible. And that's kind of what we decided to do. We have a really busy summer. We're getting married in probably a week by the time you're watching this video. We might already be married by the time this video is posted. We might be on our honeymoon right now. But we've got that going on. We've got a big move coming. She's going to be starting a new job. I'm going to have to be relocating the business. It just doesn't seem like the right time to get a new car. I think keeping the status quo for a few more months seems like the smart thing to do. So as of the taping of this video, that's what we're going to do. So yeah, around October, we'll figure out our next move. Now, I'm not saying that I might not get rid of this sooner than later. And this kind of brings me into the next thing I want to talk about, which is, what are we going to replace this Ioniq 6 with? Do you need a set of all-weather floor mats for your car? Then let me tell you about Liner X. Liner X designs and manufactures high-quality, laser-measured floor mats at a great price. They're made from TPE, which is a mixture of rubber and plastic, so they offer good traction and flexibility as well as strength when you need to remove them, so you're not going to dump their contents all over your floor. If you've owned floor mats from competitors, then you know that those are often made from a much harder material that tends to warp over time, but that doesn't happen with Liner X. They feature a simple and classy looking pattern with a lip around the entire edge so liquids won't spread and get on your floor. They also sell cargo liners as well as second row seat back cover mats. I've used them in my last 3 cars and they've held up admirably. You can check out their offerings on their website at linerx.com or Amazon through the links in the description below. Now, you guys all know that I lease these cars. I've leased these cars for the last couple years. This was the first lease I ever did in my life, and then the 2025 Ioniq 5 was the second lease after I sold my original 2022 Ioniq 5, which I did finance. So as much as I've loved the idea of just saying, here, take the car back, I want to lease something else, I'm kind of starting to think that I might take a different approach with our next car. Reason being that new car launches from Hyundai, Kia, Genesis are just not coming as regularly as I had expected them to due to the pullback in the US market. We're not getting the new 2026 Ioniq 6 here in the US, unfortunately. That was likely what was going to be our next car. And the Ioniq 5 lease isn't up until January of next year, and then I can extend that another 6 months if I need to. The Kia EV3 is coming out the end of this year. That is definitely something that has me interested, but I don't really want to wait until then to get something new. between like September, October, and then the end of the year. Maybe it'll come sooner rather than later, and that might be an option to replace this with because my fiance does like smaller cars. The EV3 is a smaller car than the Ioniq 6, so it could be a good fit. But I'm really interested in the idea of just buying used cars, keep them for as long as I want, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, just to experience them, sell them, and then get into another one. The used market is pretty hot right now in the US. Used EV prices are on the higher side than they have been the last 6 months to a year. They've gone up in what I've seen at least 10%. I think I would just kind of like to experience more cars more regularly, and just buying used gives me that ability. I'd like to spend some time with an EV6. I'd love to spend some time in an EV9. Both cars that I've talked about for many years, and other than 1 week review videos, I've never really gotten to spend any amount of time with them. So I think that could be a new fun avenue for some future content here on the channel. I think it'll be fun to play around with some different cars because it honestly gets kind of monotonous talking about the same cars over and over again. I need something new to talk about. And one of the big pros that comes with us moving out of this area and out of our rental is I do plan on buying another house. We're going to be selling the house most likely that you saw in all my old videos back when I lived in central Connecticut to use as a down payment on our new home. And that will give me the ability to have more than just 2 cars if I want to. Here we are space constrained, so it would be nice to just have a driveway where I can have 2, 3, maybe 4 cars. I don't think I will, but 4 cars could be possible. So yeah, as of right now, I think that's the plan. I don't think we're going to get a new lease after we get rid of this. Probably buy used. So at this point in time, I'm not going to do a 2-year review on the Ioniq 6. I'm going to save that until the very end. So expect that around beginning of fall, mid-fall. I'd also like to put more miles on this car too. Honestly, we don't drive it all that much because my fiance takes public transit to work and she only goes in 2 or 3 days a week. She works from home most of the time. So after 2 years, we only have a little over 8,000 miles on the car, which is definitely a little less than our lease terms allowed for. We had 12,000 miles per year, 24,000 miles total. So we only put about 1/3 of that on in 2 years. I'm a little ashamed of that, but it is what it is. Circumstances changed. We didn't need to be driving as much as we used to when we lived in Connecticut, so it is what it is. Unfortunately, this summer we probably aren't going to be taking too many road trips just because we're pretty busy with other stuff. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys an update on the Ioniq 6 and why you haven't seen the 2-year review yet. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're interested in seeing that when it comes out. Be sure to check out theioniqguy.com for all sorts of accessories for your Hyundai Ioniq 6 if you are interested. I did actually recently come up with a new item. My car being an SE doesn't have a wireless charging pad right here like the SEL and the Limited. So I decided to make one that goes right here in this little spot. You can see it's a Qi 2.2 25-watt charger. It plugs into the USB-C port right there. Then I can just MagSafe attach my phone right there, and it starts charging. So nice little easy spot to keep it stored. Consider becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents per month. For $3 per month, you can get early access to these videos as well as a 10% discount to my store. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.